From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be millionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission? To fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with us and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I will be your host for this episode, but I have guests and I have assistant hosting. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
You are. Vicki, you know what this is? This is one we have to do a lot of work.
But it'll be good because I always love these guests.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna earn all our pay on this one. We have returning guests, Mr. Dandy himself and Mr. Richard Freelane from the team that's known as
Race Bar.
Yeah, it's them. Yep, they're back. Welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Hello. Thanks for having us on your show again.
No worries.
We fooled you into it for like the fourth or fifth time.
We promise there will be no baby shark played on this episode.
That's fine.
Lies.
I just want my wallet back when we're done with this episode, please. Just mail it to me. That'll be fine. All right, gentlemen. One of you attended and one of you worked on attending, but did not quite manage to get there. But when last we saw you in person, we were in the lovely state of South Carolina. We were near Carolina Motorsports Park, and you guys were there too. So why were we there?
Yeah, well, it's Lucky Dog, so why wouldn't we be there?
Exactly.
It's Kathy, and it's all of her people, and it's an awesome race and an awesome track and awesome people.
You guys had been there before because that's a lot closer for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, CMP isn't our closest track. Honestly, VIR is our closest track. But then after that, it's New Jersey Motorsports Park and CMP are kind of the same distance.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not terrible then.
Yeah.
CMP was our first track we took the race bus to.
Is it?
Remember that fateful voyage, Jimbo?
Yeah. There's actually a great adventure associated with that. This 91.
Let's go off the rails already. So let's go. Take us for the ride.
Yeah. You guys haven't seen. Well, yeah, you have seen the race bus. Have you seen the race bus?
I saw the race bus.
Of course. So on that last time we went down there, that race bus broke down like on average once every like 75 miles.
Oh,
and
no.
we like miraculously fixed it with like toothpicks and duct tape like every single time on the side of the highway.
And the best part is we had a spectator. We had Brady with us. And Brady's a coworker. He's divorced, was kind of like doing this single dad thing, and we're like, hey, come to a race bar. And he's like, what's a race bar? And we're like, oh, you're gonna love this. So we put him in the bus with Richard Freelane there. And how'd that adventure start out, Pat?
He thought everything we did was like when the bus just broke down on the side of the road. But first time we were going along, and the bus was having a fuel pump problem, so it broke down like on every hill we stopped on. Like if it was pointed up on a hill like this, it would just break down, and like Andy had to back his truck up with the race bar trailer on the truck. We had to get a tow strap, which we didn't have one, so we had to take one of the tie down straps from the race bar trailer, hook it up, and we had like a train of like a pickup truck towing the race bar, towing the race bus, which was towing something else, right? There was like a 4-vehicle thing going up the hill multiple times. And each time Brady was like, oh, we're doing that again. Okay. Cool.
Well, the best was the first time it broke down. You guys were kind of cruising along on the interstate, and Brady was like, hey, I think I smell wood burning. like actual wood burning.
It was around the time of the wildfire. There was like a bunch of wildfires down there, and I was like, "Yeah, Brady, it's probably just like the wildfires blowing from California all the way to South Carolina."
And he's like, no, my feet are on fire. And this is a 28 passenger shuttle bus, by the way. And so he's sitting at like, one Bravo seat.
This is 1A.
1A. And he's like, no, my feet are on fire right now.
Oh
no. And like every race ever, we had like the kitchen sink and we had everything in the kitchen sink for tools. And so we pulled over on the interstate, and we get out and we look up under there, and there's this plug on the catalytic converter that had fallen out, and it was shooting hot gas straight into the plywood floor right above it. And it only took us about 15 seconds. We looked at it, and Brady's like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" And Pat and I looked at each other, and we're like, "We got this." We ran to the back of the bus as quickly as we could, just like a race, right? And we pulled the generator out, we pulled the welder out, we get the face mask, we got the gloves. I got a big piece of sheet metal laying back there, and we grab it, and we get up under there, and we like grind the metal and smooth it down and throw that sheet metal up there and tack weld it, and we're hitting it with a hammer and bending it around the catalytic converter. And also, just like race bar, we attached it with the very minimal welding, which was like 2 spot welds. And as soon as it was done, like Pat's already packing the tools back up, and I crawl off from under the bus, and we like run to the back of the bus, we throw the welder in and jump in the bus, throw it and drive, and he's got like foot to the floor, like rolling down the highway again. And of course, just like race bar, it broke like 15 minutes later, and the sheet flew off. It just rolled out. I'm following him, and it just rolls out from under the bus, and I just
Well, you say just like race bar, but there was an occurrence. It was kind of like that unidentified flying object, only it wasn't flying. There was something that happened this weekend, which we're going to get to. Miss Vicki.
Yeah, how did your track practice go on Friday? You're setting up for Friday.
I actually wasn't there at practice, so
I wasn't there either.
Were you guys in transit, and when did you guys show up to your track?
I showed up. I brought my kids to this race.
I saw. That was so adorable. Little Spider-Man was there.
They were dynamite.
We can phone Ron Mexico. I mean, the honest truth of this whole thing right now is Ron Mexico has become like the captain of race bar.
Really?
Yeah,
he's the mayor of race bar.
We purposely didn't invite him to this Zoom call because he will come on and derail the whole thing.
It's his role, Tradition warrants tradition.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah, but I wasn't there in practice, so.
Okay, so you guys showed up when? Saturday morning?
I actually wasn't there at all.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Mr. Freelane. He's still on the way.
So I'm here to talk about the race, and Richard Freelane is here to talk about race bar.
That's right.
Okay.
So he's going to keep me on track because Richard is like the heart and soul of race bar. Mm-hmm. He's what makes us who we are. Ron Mexico is there to like just he's like a tornado. He's there to just any like good ideas you have. He's like, well, I'm just gonna spin it all, and it ends up being this magical like whirlwind of awesomeness that we wouldn't have without him.
Before I forget, Mr. Freelane, every time we go to a Lucky Dog race with a BMW, we seem to have issues, and I would like to request that we're planning on going to at least the CMP event with Lucky Dog again, and if you could come, obviously we need your help. I mean, just
I will be there.
Okay, very well.
You guys had some issues last time, and I heard that you basically tricked some junkyard into towing an entire EU36 out. And I saw a picture of hanging off the back of a rollback with somebody underneath of it taking parts off. So I definitely need to get behind that.
That's
for sure.
ingenious. That was ingenious.
Why
That
go
was
to the mountain when
brilliant.
the mountain will come to you? You know.
That's right.
I didn't realize until I was reading that random junkyard.
All right there. Let me finish your sentence. That random junkyard was one of the other racers, right?
Yes,
Is that
yes.
right? Not a yes.
That's a dedicated junkyard. He's like, I want you to not only buy my parts, hopefully take this car off my hands, but I want you to do this so you can get out there and race with me. He was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was Trip.
Who was that?
Trip.
Who was that?
Trip.
Yep.
Racing or Trip Towing.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the Challenger car or like the Dodge Challenger that like was racing around?
It was a black domestic car.
Domestic.
I don't remember much else. They did well.
See,
Oh,
we don't know because we were never on the track.
So who was racing with you guys? What was who were all on your team this weekend or that weekend?
So we had 4 drivers. We had Kyle Lockrow, Jeff Kaplan, that's Ron Mexico, Myron Ware, and myself.
Okay.
Um,
So
B squad.
so of course you had Spider-Man. So so you showed up on Saturday or Friday night.
Friday late, I think.
Friday late. Yeah. So for me personally, this is a different race. We've both Patrick and I, Richard Freelane.
Yes.
Both Richard and I have kids. We've got 3 young kids, all the same age, 7, 4, and 2.
Seriously, the same age. We don't know whose is whose. It's kind of a sticky situation, but
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah. My middle one does not look like me, and I'm concerned.
Is there a handlebar mustache on the middle one? I'm just curious.
So
Vicki trying to steer this boat, but
Saturday is the race. How did your car the setup for your car? Was your car ready to go? Did you have stuff that needed to get taken care of as you pulled it off the trailer? I know this is early.
Yeah, so
early in the year, so
this race was different for us. We in that we didn't do anything. We didn't think about the race. We didn't work on the car. We didn't change the oil. We didn't do anything. Like
It's the one where we did well, which is strange.
Magically, all we did is put it in a trailer and take it to a racetrack, and it's almost like the more you try, the worse you do.
Worse to live by.
So should
Go
we
ahead,
expect even less effort from Race Bar going forward, or?
I don't know. So
how could you tell? Good point.
I tell this to people all the time when they want to know what the race is going to be like. I tell them every race is different. It's its own little kind of artwork. The team comes together in a different way every time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never had a race like this before.
So did you have any complications at all heading out on Saturday?
Yeah, so I wrote down my ideas here. I kind of have like a top 10. If you want, I can.
A prepared guest? We don't know what to do with them. Let's try this. This should be fun.
We're only gonna make it to 3, but yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if you want, we can kind of talk about a few of these things.
Sure.
They're pretty cool, and I think so. Like the number one thing, and this is kind of for me personally, is bringing the kids to the track.
Yeah.
Is
And
this
Patrick
their
and
first time?
Yeah, and Patrick and I have talked about this a lot, and we've been trying to do it. And it's there's a lot of teams out there that want to bring their kids, and it's not an easy thing to do. But I want to say that Kathy does an amazing job with Lucky Dog in welcoming the kids.
Sure.
It is really cool to kind of to see their excitement and the energy that they bring, because they're watching the cars, and especially their car. They have one car they're cheering on, and it was such a meaningful experience. And Kathy was just super supportive. She made them hot cocoa on Sunday,
Aww.
and it brought a lot of joy. And I found myself constantly apologizing for them. Like one of the 4-year-old, he had a little accident, and he was in the shower, and and my other kid's in the stall, and he's yelling across the bathroom. He's like, "I pooped my pants." And I'm apologizing to everybody. I'm sorry. And they're like, no, hey, it's really cool that you brought your kids here. So in this particular race, I thought that all of the drivers were very good in the paddock, and I didn't see any like crazy stuff. Some people, they just get their nerves are up and they're driving around really fast and they got to get out on the racetrack. But this race was just so chill in the sense that like there wasn't a lot of like crazy stuff happening.
I think that's standard with Lucky Dog, though. The racing is great. I think it's just a little bit more toned down. And there's not that many cars. If there's not that many cars, it's a little safer than saying you have 120 cars roaming around versus, 40. I think for you, when you have kids I think that's really great for the Lucky Dog for sure.
Yep. Yep. That was totally the right race to do that on.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
To initiate it. Yeah.
Like Kathy made some huge efforts, and Andy was telling me about like, just her coming up and making that cup of hot cocoa. Think about like how hard it is to run a car at an event and then still have time to like connect with people and like talk to people. Think about how hard it is to run a whole event and take a minute to like do something special for some kids, right? Like that really meant a lot that she took the time to do that and like didn't just like frown on kids running around. I think it's really important. Racing in many ways is a difficult sport. Like it's high dollar, high entry point. Like it's in some ways a dying sport because it's just so difficult to get into. But getting the kids in it, getting kids interested in it, invites other parents that might have kids too. That hey, maybe I could like do this with my teenager, or it's a cool thing. You got to have the right race. You're right. If we brought it to Lemons, New Jersey, with 120 cars on the track and pandemonium everywhere, it might not have been the same like result.
Kathy really, she's got this personality that's just a love for people and a genuine. She is personally selecting these California wines that she has on a table, and she's pouring glasses of wine for people. And she's like, "Hey, try this, and it's just this really awesome community, and the volunteers and the workers that she has with her all kind of have that same spirit, and I really do think it carries over to the racing. And so you've got some really intense racing going on out there. In fact, at least at the East Coast Lucky Dog races that we've seen, it's some of the most intense neck-and-neck racing that I've seen yet, which is like top 10 or top 5 cars are just neck and neck for hours and hours, and you watch them come into the pits, and it's a race to get back out there and make that 5-minute mark, and they're like right back out there, and they're just within like 15 seconds of each other, but I haven't seen the shenanigans that at times you experience when you have. It's an unfortunate side effect with amateur racing is that you're going to find novices that don't know when to pull it back.
Yeah. Well, just to be clear though, your kids were spectacular that weekend. They're kids, they're little, they're young, but they
enthusiastic.
They did but they really behaved themselves really well, considering that they're not just bicycling around in the neighborhood street. There's a lot of commotion in the paddock area, and they were respectful of all the teams, and they were vigilant as kids are for watching what was going on, and they were enthusiastically watching the race, and then they went and did their kid stuff, and then they came back to the race. It was really great to see, and I was very happy they were there.
That's pretty cool. I hope that like inspires some other people to think about bringing some kids around. So that's some cool memories, being like a 4-year-old out there.
Yep.
It's such a great age for it too. 4 is that's all about cars at 4.
Oh yeah.
Cars and superheroes.
Well, that kid knows how to go out in the garage and turn the power switch on the race bar, and my phone sits there on offline mode with Spotify, and it plays music continuously in the car, and the car is always plugged in the garage. So all he has to do is go out there and turn the kill switch on, and the music is instantly playing. And he gets on top of the car, and he's out there dancing like on his own. He just goes out there and he's doing it.
He did a bit of that this weekend too.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So what car did you guys end up taking?
So this was Race Bar original. This is the 84 BMW 733, 735. It's kind of our first car, and it's where Race Bar started from. It's got a bar on the back, and speakers on the roof, and a dance floor on top, and it's covered in graffiti, which is children and drunk adults, which have the exact same type of art.
So how did Kyle like the car?
I'll tell you what.
When you pulled out with the whole bar thing on the back, and
Kyle is such an amazing guy. So, if you could take a lesson from anybody, and like how to be a good team member, just watch this guy. So, first of all, Kyle's a professional. Racing is his what he does as a profession. So he races ARCA, which is like a NASCAR series,
Yep.
And then he also is into coaching and mentoring up and coming racers. So he's created a business for consulting, and he comes out because he wants to have a good time, and also in his mind, Race Bar is a diversified type of driving. He sees Race Bar as kind of unpredictable, which is what he's looking for. And so to him, it's building a skill set as well as coming and hanging out with kind of a drama-free race team. And he's always there. I'll tell you what you're getting with Kyle. He's going to be in his tent, and he's going to be right next to the garage, and he's going to roll out of his tent in the morning with a racing suit on, ready to get in that car from the first minute of the race all the way until the last minute. And he's there, and driver changes, and he's helping, and then he comes around for the party, and he's there for the party too.
And then he helps other teams like us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely.
It was so nice.
He's a good guy. I was pretty much shot. I was going to do it because, it's what you do. And he's like, I'll do it. I'm like, oh, you're the man.
Yeah, he's done some cool stuff, like when Andy was on deployment for 8 months just recently. We found out that Oliver, the 4-year-old, the one that was running around the Spider-Man helmet, wanted a Lightning McQueen car. And I found one on Facebook Marketplace, but it was in like DC somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted it up on the Race Bar WhatsApp, and he didn't even, there was no like asking. It was like he was already on the way when he called me, and he's like, I'm on the way to get that car. Can you just like tell me where like you need to deliver it? And he drove it all the way down to Richmond, and then we put batteries in it, and we gave it to Oliver for his birthday, and he like blew his mind. I mean, he's totally awesome guy to have around. And I think we give him something too. I mean, he's looking for experience. He was telling me that a lot of his series, you show up and you get in the car and you have like no practice or anything on different tracks around the country. And we kind of give him like exposure to different tracks so he can like practice like showing up cold to a racetrack and getting fast on it real quick in a weird car. That's kind of Race Bar, right? And it's pretty cool. It's awesome to have him around.
Yeah, my favorite part about the Kyle on this weekend is we put Kyle in the car in the morning, and Kyle looked at me and he said, "Hey, how hard do you want me to go?" And it was just genuine, like you could tell he was asking from experience. He's like, "How hard do you want me to go?" And I said a response that I personally would not have known how to drive if somebody told me this response. I gave him an answer.
And if the car can handle it.
Yeah, so what I told him, I said, send it, don't wreck. That's it. I said, send it.
And
he looked at me, he knew exactly what I meant by that. And he's like, I go, send it. And he's like, all right, like salute, like almost like a salute back, like mission received. I will do that. And he went out there and you know, I used to look at how he drove, and he wasn't the fastest person on our team, and I realize now that he's like very conservative, unless you tell him not to be. You know, he's like, it's your car, I don't want to break it, so you tell me how you want me to drive. And
you're like, let me tell you something about our cars.
That the whole time he was holding back before, because he was respecting our equipment.
Yeah.
Is weird and crazy as race bar looks, it's an expensive car to keep around, and it's not cheap, and it's not easy, and there's a lot of stuff wrapped around that car.
And parts aren't sitting at the corner just waiting for you.
Exactly. You can't just go over and buy a race bar at the buy here, pay here lot. Well, maybe you can. But he was totally respecting the equipment the entire time, and Andy just kind of pulled the stops out a little bit and let him loose.
Well, and we like to joke about how we don't put much effort into it, we don't really care, but there are 100 lessons that have gone into making that car what it is today, and our goal is never to repeat the same mechanical mistake twice. So we've blown up motors. We know all of the weak points to that M30 B35 motor that's in that car, and we know exactly what's going to fail. And both Patrick and I are airplane mechanics as well, and we treat that car like an airplane. So we do oil analysis. We cut the filter open, and we inspect it. And there's torque striping on a lot of the bolts now, the ones that we're concerned about. So we can inspect those and make sure they're not loosening up. We've got a spreadsheet that tracks all the equipment hours. We know how long the pads will last, how long the rotors will last. I even have an estimate on how long I think the clutch will last. So it's all in a spreadsheet. And
you might want to update the brake pad checker.
Why does the right one burn out faster than the left one? We haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. So we're sticking with the same car. We're trying to just get smarter and smarter about it. And I don't know what we're gonna do if it ever, knock on wood, if we ever lose that car. But I think we'll just have to buy more E23s.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll rebody the car.
You got to bring it just for the dance floor alone. So whether it runs or not. So.
That's right.
So how did Saturday go? Because I didn't really get to see you guys because we were occupied, shall we say, most of the day and night.
Yeah. So Saturday, and I'm about to. So I've already gotten through my number 1 and number 2 on my list.
Oh, that's right. We got your list. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is perfect. And you just led me into number 3. So 1 was the kids, 2 was Kathy.
Yep.
And then 3 is Ryan Suska.
Yep.
He's your guy, I understand.
Yes, sir.
Awesome dude. So Saturday was going well for us, and all we really had to do was get in the car and make the start of the race and turn laps, and we did that. We made good driver changes, and we were doing great. Our shifter broke. It's not the first or fifth time that the shifter is broken.
I was going to say, we've seen it break a couple times.
What about that never repeat thing?
Yeah, well, doesn't
it broke in a different spot every time.
Except for a shifter.
It broke in a different way.
I don't think Ryan's going to let it break anymore from what he did. So
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I told Kyle to send it in the morning, so that's. So Ryan got in there. We pulled it in, and Ryan was just. What's a word that you won't bleep? Fist or balls?
Sure.
Pick one.
I mean,
Bill, whatever works.
Kickballs, baseballs. There's all kinds of those. Yeah.
Balls
Ryan
to the wall.
Was fist deep on your car.
Yeah. At least. I think I saw a toad dangling out of the bottom of the car. That's about all.
And he's under there. He's welding. He's got the 318 on the trailer. And we rolled in. He's like, he just took a pause. I don't know if this was unfortunate for you, but he stopped working on your car to come work on our car.
So that's why they never got it back together. That one moment.
No, we have lots of moments for why we didn't get it back together, but that's a different podcast.
Anyway, so Ryan, he's like, hey, grab that socket and cut a notch in it, and we're gonna weld it. So he made a sleeve out of a socket and he put it on there. And our shifter now is a 17 millimeter socket welded onto a shaft with an adjustable wrench coming out of it, with some other scrap metal welded at the top of it.
It's very race bar.
It's
Very race
fantastic.
bar.
And it's like 5 feet long, but still's off. It's a long shift kit.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got that.
Awesome.
It's got that mechanical notch feel. You know,
That's
it's very race bar. That's all that can be said. There's no other description necessary.
So yeah, we were competitive on the track up until that happened, and we were having a great time. It was pretty low stress. We were just turning laps, you know.
Okay, so what are we up to? 4 now? 5.
4.
4.
Yeah. So Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. So Sunday it rained.
It did,
All day.
and it was cold.
It was from green flag to checkered flag. It was a steady, slow, constant rain.
That's awesome. Love it.
And it was a lot of fun, you know. I mean, you don't get to race in the rain very often.
No,
How
but it's
was
fun
racing? How does that car manage in the rain? How's it handle?
You know, it does pretty well. It doesn't have a lot of camber, and it's got big tires. So it generally does pretty good. We don't have ABS, so that's probably the hardest thing to deal with. If you're trying to trail brake as you turn in, you'll lock up the inside tire pretty easy. And you don't hear it, you just gotta kind of feel it. Sometimes you don't feel it. But the car does pretty good. I mean, we did great. We we were in B class, and there was some real competitive racing out there. We ended up finishing first in B class.
What? What?
First time ever.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Is this more data that supports our thesis that anybody can do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Years and years and years.
So another blind squirrel finds a nut. Is that what we're saying?
That's right.
Excellent.
Yeah. I don't know. How, you know, I think a lot of cars broke. I don't want to give us too much credit. But we were doing well. You know, we just did it. We just stayed on the track. We just turned laps, and a lot of great things going for us. You know, like Kyle was doing great. Jeff, Ron Mexico, he was coming off of 3 for 3 accidents for his last 3 times on the track.
Oh.
Out of 3 races, he basically wrecked 3 cars.
It was really sad, you know, like the first 2 kind of were unfortunate, and the third one, he's like, all right, I can't wreck any more cars, and he was
Well,
at
none of that
Lemons.
was his fault, right?
Well, the last one really sucked because he was at Lemons with Fred Lobster, our Bavaria, and a car spun in front of him, and he T-boned the car, and it just sucked. You know, he was trying so hard to keep it clean and just not overdrive, and he T-boned a car.
Oh.
Is that so? What's the Bavaria prognosis?
They pulled it out with a pickup truck at the track.
They got a big tow strap and a diesel pickup truck, and they just kind of dragged the frame rail straight again. And then we got it home, and they raced it the rest of the day, right? Like for 5 or for 8 more hours that day. And then Andy just sent me some pictures or a video on the WhatsApp, and man, it's kind of sweet. It was already like the rustiest car in the universe. It was like a Massachusetts 60s BMW that didn't have any rust proofing on it, and it was like already kind of Swiss cheesy, and this kind of might have tipped the scales on it.
Yeah, we took some pictures underneath and kind of sent it out to our group. We've got a pretty large BMW knowledge base going on now. in our Race Bar Nerds group, which, by the way, if you're an old BMW enthusiast, join this group. You can post the most random questions ever, and you'll find an incredible amount of support. Yeah, we posted the pictures, and everybody posted back like memes and gifs of like rest in peace and like dying. Like, it lived a good life.
So the Swiss cheese is now American cheese and in slices.
American cheese.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good point. Maybe we should like graft the front end of like some other random American car on the front of it. That's like the idea fairy coming out, right?
You can do that. I will not be doing that.
Maybe I will. Let's do an EV conversion on it too while we're at it.
I will tow it to your house and put it in your garage. And I will tell your wife that you asked for it.
Like that's the first time she ever heard that.
That would have been interesting. But yeah.
So Race Bar is, at least for this weekend, retitled to be Race Winner. That's fantastic.
So we won a race. Yeah, we had a trophy last Lucky Dog. We had like third and C or something, and we welded the trophy to the hood. So this time we're gonna weld the trophy somewhere else on the car, and if we keep winning, we're just gonna keep welding trophies on the car until the car gets slow enough to stop winning.
So is there a logic to where you weld it? Like if it's a little loose in the front, you put the trophies in the front, and if you need a little more traction in the back, you put a little more trophies in the back. Is that what we're doing?
Not a bad idea.
It's pretty smart, Bill.
There.
You should be on our team. Hey, why didn't you drive Race Bar this last weekend?
I was so busy driving our car that. Oh wait! Oh no!
No, you weren't.
No, I was so busy driving our rental car to get parts and pieces.
Bill, I have a dream.
You have a dream?
I have a dream that someday our forces will unite and we will create this giant like cooking or something. Like we're gonna cook food for everybody. We're gonna do some great thing, or maybe we'll just drive together, or I don't know, something.
We'll figure something out. I'm thinking. There's the makings of a conglomerate for NJMP this year. Now that you're back in town. At least in the paddock, if not on the track.
Well, you guys mentioned cooking, and
yes.
I have a gift to bring to the next race that you have not seen yet. Andy's seen this.
Hibachi!
I can do hibachi! I can literally do the flaming volcano. I have the fried rice.
Is this code for something, or is this food?
No, this is legit actual hibachi, like at the restaurant where they throw the shrimp and you catch it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And I spin the egg and I throw it up in the air and I catch it in my hat. I can literally do that, and we're gonna do it at the next Race Bar race. So you'll want to get to that race.
So initially I was skeptical of his idea, and he sent me videos, and I was like, "That's dumb." And I just want to point out,
sounds like Race Bar.
So many things I've said are dumb turn out not to be dumb. Like Pat's like, let's bring a bubble machine to a race. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like straight, no, you're an idiot. And
then
he's like
Charlotte
the most
Roval.
Popular person at the racetrack.
See, I shared this with you because Vicki rained on my parade when I said I'm bringing the Hawaiian shave ice machine to the track. She's like,
yes.
She's like,
and it was great, but it was work.
Yes, Vicki, I hear you. Work. I hear you because I'm becoming like this with Patrick these days. I'm like, your hibachi sounds like a lot of work. Good luck doing that.
Mm-hmm. I'll do it.
You know what? It's like, let's make pizzas in the paddock. I mean, it's work. Now you know what's really nice is handing out margarita freezy pops on very hot nights. That's a good one.
Nice.
Having freezy pops handy on those really hot race days, excellent. Put them in the freezer in your trailer.
Oh yes.
So are you doing the NJMP?
I don't know if we can make that one.
I have a new job, and currently I can't give you a forecast outside of like 3 weeks.
Okay.
That will improve. It will improve.
3 weeks from NJMP, we need to make a plan.
New Jersey was one of my favorite races we've ever done. Was that?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
That whole thing was just bananas. The whole
That's when you
thing
guys were
was
driving
off
the
the
little
wall.
cars, and somebody had like these little RC cars that they were radio control cars that
Yeah,
they were driving around.
everything.
And then you had
Matt,
the tent. You rolled the car up in the back. Everybody was dancing on your car. Oh my God.
Matt was riding one of those old bicycles. Remember that? He was wearing his orange shorts, riding around the big wheel bike that has a tiny wheel in the back, and from the 1800s.
Yep.
Everything was just off the wall.
There were so many little parties. Like everybody had a piece in the party. There was one team that was doing the barbecue.
Mhm.
There was another team that had rented this giant tent and had brought in their own DJ.
Mhm.
And they had all. There's the hot tub was there.
Remember the guys
Everything.
that were dressed up like the Russians, and they were riding
Yes.
around on a cart. They were giving out Moscow mules, and you had to
Moscovia!
You had to kind of do this thing. And I remember the cups and the decals were them, black and
Yeah.
white.
Oh my
Their
god!
The
tracksuits.
hibachi would have fit right into that whole scene. Like
Yeah.
I would have had the hibachi is a show. That's what I like about it. It's a show.
Mhm.
The whole thing is a show. It's just fun to watch.
I mean,
That
we
was that
we
was
could have
an
helped
excellent
out. We
weekend.
could have put a grill right underneath our fake windshield and
Oh,
done a lot of grilling because that was about all it was good for. 'cause
Mhm.
I
I
br-
think
broke
they have the
windshield.
same grill. I think you guys have the big flat top grill, right?
Flat iron.
Mhm.
That's all I
Yeah.
need. Flat iron grill. That's all I need. And my hat
Yeah.
and my little flippers that go ching 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 ching. That's all I need.
Well, we
It's the
we
same one
always
that we
bring
have.
ours. We always bring ours, so we could put them right next to each other, and you could have 8 or
I could do dueling hibachis.
exactly.
Dueling
If I get a
hibachis.
Mhm. No problem. We'll do that. We can
Well,
figure something out.
I initially thought the hibachi was a bad idea, and then I saw how excited his kids were. There was one thing I've realized from Race Bar is that kids and drunk adults are exactly the same. They're
Yeah.
not. There's no different. And any of these serious racers, that are like, I'm into winning. I gotta be competitive and do everything correctly. There's a right and a wrong way. They're just not drunk enough because
You're not ready.
they have lost. They've forgotten their child. Their child is like suppressed deep within inside of them, and they've forgotten that part of themselves. And maybe a little hibachi will help bring that out.
Oh, yeah.
The the track walking podcast came out with an episode that I think their title was something along the lines of "Do something that your 5-year-old you would be proud of."
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally
That's a
right.
good one.
That's a good
Wow.
ethos to live by.
Yeah.
I like that.
Wow.
Great
Well,
podcast,
that's
by the
awesome.
way.
I'm gonna write that down.
We need to do more of that.
Put that on my wall.
What do you
I'm
mean more of that? We need to do, that's all
gonna
we
write
do.
that on a race bar.
Yes.
That's right. Nobody will be able to read it, but that's fine. All right. So what number are we on? We're on number 6, number 5.
Yeah. So we got through Ryan Susko with his awesome welding.
Yep.
All day racing in the rain was number 4.
While we're on the rain, real quick. Speaking as a person who this was my first trip to CMP and I never got out there, whether it was rain or dry, how is CMP in the rain?
Yeah, so my personal thoughts, the track was pretty good. There was one spot that was treacherous, the kink.
The King,
I love the kink.
So the kink, which is already an interesting corner when it's dry.
Let's describe the kink for people who haven't been to CMP.
So imagine a long straight with this curve in the middle of it, just kind of a sharp turn. It's a
It's like
fairly
a 20
tight.
degree turn. It's
Yeah,
not a big turn,
It's
but
a fairly
it's like offsetting.
it's a fairly tight radius, but it's only like 20 degrees. And in the dry, if you want to be competitive, you're going to be pretty much flat out there, which means you have to really perfectly time when you turn in. Because if you're just a little bit late, you're going off the track. And if you're a little bit early, you're going to hit that. There's a pretty big kind of curbing bump type of thing there that they have there on the inside. And, so I think most people take it a little bit easier at first, and then as they get comfortable, they'll go more aggressive. And it seems like people are probably pretty much flat out, through there. In the wet, it's kind of the same situation, except there's a puddle causing a really severe hydroplane just outside of the bump. So if you don't hit the bump, you're not even turning. So there's definitely some strategy in how you do it, and I think you really just got to get the car turned, and then expect it not to turn, as you approach the apex there.
You have to get your like turning done right before the kink and get the car rotating a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it goes too much, then you're like doing this back and forth thing. And guess what? There's like a 90-degree turn right at the end of it. So
Oh wow.
like if you waste your time like skidding around, you're going to go off that turn.
Yeah, that hydroplane, that first lap on the track with me, I was going really easy. I was going 60, 70% of what I thought I could do in the rain. And I was not going fast. And it just hydroplaned, and I thought I was going off the track. And I was only going, like 60 mile an hour when you could be doing like 90 or 100 or 110 there. So I was pretty cautious of it ever since. But I was losing a second and a half or so from just that turn alone on every lap.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just didn't want to push it. I was like, I don't have any desire to go off the track today.
Yeah, especially with your kids there, right?
Yeah. I didn't even care. This race for me, I didn't bring the car to the track, and I wasn't bringing home. I had my kids, so if the car broke, I was pretty much just gonna pack my kids up and go home.
We took care of breaking the car, so don't you worry.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of passed on. So, the day went
7.
well. Oh, 7.
Yeah. So, this is really cool. So on another thing that broke on Saturday for us, we had a little steering issue, and it happened with me. I thought it was a brake issue because I was concerned the brakes were a little spongy leading up to this, and then when I turned in one of the turns, it just kind of didn't turn, and I didn't know if I locked the tire up or what had happened. But we came in and we discovered that the steering idler arm on the passenger side was moving forward and back, and a nut had fallen off on the bolt that holds it in, and so this is at the very end of the race. When we thought it was a brake issue, we bled the brakes. We got the car back on the track. We took the checkered flag, but it was the steering issue. So we brought it in after the checkered flag, and we said, you know what?
This was Saturday you took it in?
Yeah, so Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday afternoon.
I took the checkered flag going like 30 mile an hour.
You wanted to be able to count the squares. I understand. I've done that.
And we brought it in, and the music wasn't working because the remote turn on for the amp, the switch had failed, and it was shorted to ground, and I don't know why, but the music didn't work. And in my mind, the car was done. We were going home. So our spirits were a little bit low. We got our barbecue, we kind of sat around, and I looked at our team. I looked at Jeff, and I was like, hey, we got 2 problems, the car and the music. And we're like, you know what? Let's fix the music first. So we got the amps fixed, and as soon as the music came on, and it was like, yeah, all right, like we're in this. All of our motivation came back to fix the car, and so we're like, let's do this, let's fix it. So we jacked it up, we got underneath it, and Jeff and I are under there, and we get the idler arm back in place. The bolt is still there, so we push the bolt down through the hole. We're looking at threads on a bolt with no nut. That's like an M69 size, bolt, some whatever size that we don't have a nut for. There's no way because I didn't bring any hardware. And what are we gonna do? And Myron on our team, he goes, "Hey guys, I was looking in the back area of the car, and I just found this nut earlier, and I had it in my pocket. And check this out." And he gives us this nut. And it's a hardware nut, a hardware store nut. It's not like, it didn't come off the car. It's a silver shiny nut. And Jeff sticks it on there and he goes, well, it's threading. It's a metric. It's the same size. And so we tightened it up, and it was the fix. It fixed it.
An omen
awesome.
of things to follow for Sunday, probably.
Really?
The lesson in life here is that anytime you're at a racetrack and you see like a nut on the ground, pick it up and then put it in your pocket. Because this is not the first time this has happened. We were at NC Car or somewhere Was it NC car?
It was Dominion Raceway.
Dominion Raceway. No, that's right, Dominion Raceway. And I was walking around, and I happened to notice a washer on the ground. And then I noted where it was in my little weird head. And then, like 4 hours later, we were like, we needed a washer for something. And I was like, I got one. And I ran like a half a mile back over to the area I was, and there was a washer right where I left it, and it fit perfectly. And we like got back on the track. So anytime you see something like that, just kind of make a little mental note where it is.
Yeah, I tell you what, I will always pick up hardware I find at the racetrack now. Yeah, we found a piece of
too much.
We found a piece of metal in a trash can, and we ended up using that to get through tech at VIR in our other car.
For the roll cage.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. What's your next one, sir?
A camera and data acquisition system that works. This is kind of a nerdy one. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not. This is up to you guys.
Well, we have an idea for you. It integrates the data with the video and puts it all in one spot. You can watch it live. You can think of how much fun it would have been for you guys to be in the paddock, watching your car live without having to be out in the rain, seeing how everything's going, seeing where you are in the standings, live, updated, and being able to stream it to Patrick, who was sitting at home and wasn't able to get to the race. You guys could have shared that with yourselves. And
I'm about to buy something. What is this? What are you doing there?
Yeah.
The Sentinel system works with, right now it just works with AIM, but they're working on getting other data acquisition telemetry systems to integrate, and what it does is it blends everything together and then allows it to be streamed through the cellular network at good frame rate and slow delay. You can't do live coaching and say, hey, this turn coming up, but you can actually do it if you're doing time trials and things like that, and Sentinel system integrates that and allows you to stream. We're going to be using it in at least 2 of our cars, and we're going to see how it goes. So we'll be reporting on that soon.
Wow, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Are you like a paid?
They
gave
us
like $50.
they gave us a system to try, because a lot of teams in WRL are using it, and they're trying to see if other levels of endurance racing and grassroots motorsports would be interested in it. So we're going to have it, and we're going to be like a demo if people want to come by and see it at the paddock. They can see what we're doing, and if they're into it and want to go that way, it's an option. There's several different systems that do it, and we've tried most of them, and we're going to try this one. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should bring the Bob Ross cam thing back for this, Andy. Stick Bob Ross in front of the camera. Remember that?
we had a bobblehead, Bob Ross, mounted on top of the car with a camera on it, and I don't know if we got too many races, but.
We lost him at Charlotte.
Lost him at Charlotte. But my favorite thing with that camera was we had done this little like party at the airport, our local airport, and I was driving home, and I had the camera on. And I'm like, I'm gonna turn the camera on the drive home at night because I want to watch this thing go. And then I'm driving home, and I got the music playing. I got all the lights on in the car, and I'm feeling good. And I'm like, you know what? God, I love the sound of this race car engine. I'm going to turn the audio recorder on my phone. So I'm recording the audio on my phone. And sure enough, I get pulled over.
In the race car.
So I've got video of this whole event, and I've got audio in my pocket. And it's just fantastic.
It's gold, the whole thing.
Because you see, like,
what is this?
Yeah, I pulled in my neighborhood, and the cop sees me, and he pulls out, and I know he's behind me. I'm like, oh, here we go. Mm-hmm. So I'm driving to my neighborhood, and I get all the way to my house, and you have to. There's this like gate that has to open. It's an electric gate. So I pull up next to my house, and I open the electric gate with the door opener, and the gate opens, and I drive through the gate and through the driveway behind my house. I have a detached garage, and I drive around the detached garage, and I park it in this shelter under, it's like all these steps to get there. And I'm thinking he's just going to like stop like before my driveway, but he follows me all the way into my driveway, all the way through the gate and into my backyard. And he stops in my backyard and then turns his lights on. And
That's the most low-key pullover ever.
And I got out, and I got my phone's in my pocket and it's recording audio, and I walked towards him, and he's like, "Stop right there! Get your hands out of your pockets." I'm like, okay, all right.
Was that a dildo in your hand? Put it down.
No, this is after the race.
And he's I have talking points with race bar. So what I do is I look at the person I'm talking to and I try to like figure them out, and I've got about 4 connection points that I try to like, and usually I can get somebody on like 1 or 2, and sometimes it goes as far as 3, but I got to like 4 or 5 before I connected with this guy. And so it started with because it was like, "What is this?" He's like, what are you? It's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm in my house. I'm in my backyard. You're in my backyard." He's like, "You live here?" I'm like, "Yes, I live here." My wife comes out and she's like, "Everything okay?" And he like spins around. He's like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm his wife. You're in my backyard." And his head was like exploding because in his mind, I was a delinquent, like I was a drunk, so he's like, "What is this?"
That's not the first time that's been said about your car, to be fair. And Richard's got a few like answers to the "what is this?"
What is this thing?
And
what do you do with it?
And so with him, like I normally start with, it's a race car, and I am like, "Do you know what 24 Hours Le Mans is?" And
he's
they're like,
"No."
But I kind of deferred away from that one, and I was like, I actually started with because we do some charity stuff as well, and I'm like, "Hey, we're a team that raises money for charity, and
that usually does the trick, right?
Yeah.
Who can be like, "No," after that?
Yeah, I forget like what I tried, but anyway, I think when I said team, like he's like, "Oh, this is bigger than just you." And then
there's
like,
more of you.
and then he's like, and I kept going. I was just verbal like diarrhea, and I'm like, "It's street legal. It's a race car. It's street legal. It's this and it's that." And then at one point he goes, "Okay, all right. So here's the thing. You say it's legal. I will whatever." He's like, "I'll believe you, except to the extent that every single light on this car is illegal, except, and the only light you need, it's the license plate light is burnt out."
There's like disco lights on it, and like all lights are on bright.
Oh jeez.
It was probably a good plan not to mention the keg works. Just probably good to skip on that one. Okay.
Kind of glaze over that.
Yeah, just let that go by. It's not drunk driving; it's drinkable driving.
And Richard, you've been pulled over with the lights on the car before.
I got pulled over because I drove the car all the way to VIR from my house in Richmond, and I got pulled over in like the middle of nowhere near VIR, and the guy he didn't say anything about the car missing all the windows and straight off. like everything was just insane. The only thing he was concerned about was the fact that there was a strip of blue lights under the front bumper, and he was like, "Those can imitate a police officer." And I was like, "Well, oh, okay. Well, let me unplug them." And I just like broke the wire, and he was like, "Okay, all right. So you say you're going to a car show, right?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then he it's the weirdest thing, pulling away from a police car with the race bar, like everything's fine and I'm leaving now, even though you're in the sketchiest car in the world, and like really 100 violations on that car. But I don't know, he let me go.
It's always good.
He was like, "Can I see the registration?" But it was wrapped in a plastic baggie, duct taped around the roll cage in the back, and I had to like slice the duct tape open to show him the registration in the back.
And how far was VIR?
I drove it for like 2 hours. Remember when we met at Walmart?
2 hours with race
And
bar?
then we almost got arrested because you did a donut in it in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, that was unfortunate.
Is that the same race?
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Yeah, we drove to Emporia, and we met in a Walmart parking lot. We were towing the trailer with the RV, and
I met up with you there.
And yeah, we had the bus just full of delinquents that were like drunk. Not the driver of the bus. I was the driver of the bus. Everybody else. I was the sober driver, and these idiots behind me. And I guess I got overwhelmed with the energy, and after we got there, I jumped in the car and did a little donut in the parking lot. And I went straight from the donut, like drifting around the parking lot, right up to the trailer, and just like, stop, and up onto the trailer. And we loaded it up, and we're putting the ramps away, and we're strapping it down, and the cops show up.
And did you just kind of go white just a little bit, like the blood drains from your face?
Yeah. I just loaded, and he's like, "Who's driving this car?" And I'm sitting there like strapping it down. I'm like, "I don't know what to do right now. I'm strapping the car down." and I looked at the people around me. I was like, "Go get in the bus. Just go get in the bus." And finally I was like, "I got to deal with this." So I was like, "Yeah, it was me." No, actually, I didn't say that. I said, I don't know. I don't know what he said. And I was like, "Yeah, I was driving this car." And he's like, "Were you doing a donut in this parking lot?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't doing a donut in this parking lot."
Must have been another race bar.
Yeah. And he goes, "So you're telling me there's another clown car doing donuts in this parking lot?"
Why, yes.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I didn't do a donut. It wasn't me.
I'm loading up my race car here, bud. What are you doing?
What I did was not a donut. It was an S figure, but it wasn't a donut.
You're like, maybe you were doing donuts, buddy. Like, maybe you're under arrest here today.
And my favorite part about this whole thing is he's angry. He's like mad. And I'm lying to him, and he's mad about that. It's really making him mad. And he knows I'm lying, but he just keeps pressing it. And he calls in reinforcements, and reinforcements arrive, and he's over there talking to them. And this female police officer walks up to me, and she looks at me and she goes, "So what is this?"
Again, not the first time.
Well,
and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked." And I said, "Yeah, so we're a racing team. We do this amateur endurance racing thing, and we raise money for charity. We also try to put on a good party and a good spirit at the track. 150 pounds of pork shoulder in the bus right now. We're taking to the track." And I said, "Listen, all we want to do is get the car strapped down so we can hit the road. Like, we're not here to cause any trouble. We seriously don't want any trouble. We just want to leave. And we just got to get to the track because we got a party waiting for us that we gotta cook some food for, and we really just need to get there." And the other officers heard me talking. They looked as I was talking. And then I heard him like say a few more things, and then he just walks over and he's like, "Here's your ID." He's like, "You're leaving, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're leaving." And he's like, "Just get out of here. Just leave." And then we're like, "Okay." And he gets in the car, and I walk as we get ready to leave. I walk over to him after I'm strapping down, and I was like, "Hey, listen, we're just trying to do good stuff here." I was like, "If you want to come and have some barbecue, please come on out. Like, here's our information. Check us out on Facebook." And he's like, "Just go."
Please. And then the lady's like, "What's your Instagram?"
That's awesome. So cool.
Only with Race Bar. Okay. What's our next one, sir? I'm not used to having somebody else have my podcast organized, so I'm out of sorts here.
So racing against Laura Vernon, just from a personal standpoint, was pretty cool. Laura started with us. She was one of those serious racers that like think they're there to conquer the world, and we kind of brought her in under our umbrella. And we're like, "Why don't you come party with us?" And after watching the Bubble Machine for the first time, I think she was like hypnotized. And then she found herself in the race bar go-kart doing donuts at Lucky Dog Charlotte.
Yep.
And she had
the Bubble Machine.
we got to just have some really awesome like bonding moments at the track with her for a few races, and then she kind of found her calling, and she's racing with Randy Popst in the Flying Moose now, and so in the rain, I saw her in my rearview mirror, and I'm like I don't want to let her by, like I want to fight for this little bit. So I really stepped it up, turned some really good laps, my best laps, and I held her off for about 3 laps, and I made a little mistake, and I kind of made her pass me on the kink, which was a terrible place. Watched her kind of struggle with it after, but she made it. She just killed it, just awesome, saved it and did a great job. And then she came over to us afterwards, and and she's a really good driver, so she's like, hey, that was some really awesome driving out there. I really enjoyed racing against you. And then she went on, and she's like, hey, I can't thank you guys enough for where I'm at now, and you guys gave me that kind of start into this racing, and just genuinely appreciative. And my heart just melted. I was like, oh, you're my favorite person right now. Yeah.
She is so nice.
Yeah.
He's a character and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't she racing with a friend of hers, Allison?
Yeah. So that was
Allison the mechanic.
Was she on racing that Volvo too?
Yeah, Allison's really cool. Yeah. So Allison met Laura, and they were doing autocrosses, and Allison's like, yeah, I want to get into this racing thing, and Laura's like, why don't you come out and crew with us? So she's a certified mechanic, and she's really good at what she does. And she came out, and she was helping other teams during this race. And just really awesome person, just enjoying it. And so she wants to get into racing. And I think she'll be like another Laura, just a really awesome person. She continues on.
Maybe she can check our idler arms for us before we go out racing.
Yeah, we're gonna put some torque striping on those.
We tell you proper torque specs on those things.
Yeah, we found about 4 more loose nuts when we were putting that nut on that we tightened. That we're also gonna put torque striping on.
Loose nuts in that car. That's awesome.
All right, sir, since this is your podcast and you're running the show, what you got? What's next?
All right, for number 8 here, I wrote fur coats and the race bar dildo.
Oh, yeah.
Yup.
Fur coats. Tell us about the fur coats.
Have you worn the fur coat, Vicki?
No, I have not.
No, you haven't lived yet. They're luxurious.
Where'd
they come from?
They're not freely shared. I mean, they're a hot commodity at the track.
All you got to do is ask. I'm sure Ronald would surrender his fur coat at any point.
Are there pimp coats?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Where'd they come from?
Ron, Mexico. This would be a great time to have him on, and Ron, he won't listen to this anyway, but I'm just sorry that we didn't invite you on.
Love you, Ron.
He shares that with over 8 billion people in this world who won't listen to this podcast. He's got friends. No worries.
Yeah, that was his thing. They did that at Lemons in Road Atlanta, and they just kind of brought the party, and it's kind of fun. The coats are fun. It's kind of a baller move, It's fun to dress up, and I think the coolest thing when you do that is you're showing that you're a team, and if there's anything I would say to a new team starting out, it doesn't matter what you do, just do it all the same.
Bring your fur coats, all right?
Yeah. Except for the July and August races, leave them home then.
Don't forget your dildo.
I mean, who goes to the racetrack without one? I mean, really.
I did smack Laura with the race bar dildo, and she was initially like, "What? What just hit me in the face?"
Yeah.
Big.
I loved. I watched a video, some recap on Facebook of somebody, and he like had his phone. He was giving like a very serious. He's like,
Alex.
"Well, I went around turn 3 and this and that."
There was
And then,
Alex. Alex Levinson, right?
Alex
Yeah.
came around the corner with like a big stick, and then he just like poked that thing in his ear while I was trying to talk, and he's like, "Oh, what is that?" Totally off the rails. I love it. Very important.
Yeah, getting to know Alex was pretty cool too. I didn't really know Alex before this race, but that guy's kind of the life of the paddock party. He's doing these videos, and it's kind of his like life blog. What's this group called? Misfit Racing?
Stupid racing.
Stupidly
misfit racing or something like that.
Stupidly misguided racing.
There you
Yes.
go.
And it's fun.
Not spelled correctly, by the way. So
It's fun. He just walks around blogging essentially, and it's fun kind of seeing his life. But he came out, he was down at the end, and he came out for the checkered flag and was like, "Hey, I'm here with Race Bar, and what do you guys think about this?" He was kind of interviewing us, and it was
He
fun.
had a Race Bar shirt on, right?
Yeah, he put a Race Bar shirt on. Yeah. But I don't know his history exactly, but he raced or was part of the Sorry for Party Rocking crew.
He's raced with them.
Party
He usually
Yep.
races with the with Ryan, and they
And
were in
Amanda.
a 1.6 Miata, and then
Okay.
he's been arriving driving with like the world the past couple of years. So
In the Northeast, mostly.
well, yeah, he travels too. So he's having a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's
So-
cool.
So after fur coats, what do we have next, sir?
World's best beer and the party I missed. So I guess
It's like a book title. Right there.
yeah. So Myron Ware is he's a brewmaster for Gloucester Brewing Company in Gloucester, Virginia, and he brought some homebrew with him, which is just fantastic. And he brings us to every race. He brought 2 kegs, and he really kind of brought the party. I guess Ron Mexico and him were going around Friday night, just doing the party thing, and it was really cool.
Delivering beers.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So looking at the race weekend as a whole, and Mr. Freelane, you feel free to chime in as well. What would you guys look at the highlight of the race weekend for you guys, and the low light? And it could be inside your team, or it could be external to your team. What do you feel looking back at this weekend, highlight and low light, if you had a low light?
I liked hearing about the guy who helped weld the shifter, and I loved hearing about your guys' car with the junkyard rollback dragging the car out, and I liked hearing about Kathy, enjoying the kids and sharing time. I think that's the next chapter, right? I mean, racing's hard when you got 3 young kids and stuff, but if you can like bring 1 or 2, a couple of them around, it kind of changes the game, and I think we maybe set a trend of that for the future of some other people. That's pretty cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's my highlights.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Dandy Jandy, Mr. 5,000 names?
I'd say bringing the kids to the track was the highlight, and I guess the low light, was for me was kind of the same side of that coin. The opposite side of that coin was, you can't party when you got the kids. You can't. You just can't be there in the evening to like talk to people. And one of the things I wanted to mention on this is, I was talking to Richard about this. How many times do you guys race a year?
5 to 7 usually.
Oh, that's
But
pretty good.
We do HPDs too, so they don't count.
But if you race let's say you race 5 times a year, you'll spend a whole weekend, and you get down there, you do the test and tune, the tech, everything. You get on the track for 7 or 8 hours. You get a break, and you're on the track for 7 or 8 hours, and then you're packing up, you're gone. And in that time, you kind of do these battles with people on the track, and you really got your heart and soul poured into this, and everybody else out there with you as well. And the one thing that you really want to do is like give these people that you're out there with hugs at the end and be like, dude, you're my best friend right now. Like I respect you, like you beat me or I beat you, but I respect the shit out of you right now because we went out there and we put a lot of time and effort and money into this thing, and we put our heart and soul into it. And there is such little opportunity to actually give those hugs and those high fives, except for maybe 2 hours Saturday night at these races. And because what happens, you come off the track, you eat your food, you drink your water, and you spend some time getting the car ready, and then there's only a couple hours before it's kind of bedtime. And that 2 hours is really critical in the bonds and the friendships that we build. And outside of that, it's just kind of Facebook and other kind of social media interactions you have with people. So when you get the kids there, it's hard to really do that. And that's kind of the low light is the flip side of that. So finding that balance is a challenge. And again, going back to Lucky Dog, that's one of the things I really like about it is Kathy, I think, understands more so than I think some of the other series out there how important that 2 hours is.
And she does a good job of keeping everybody together in the paddock, especially Saturday night. She always has something going that combines getting everybody together with some charity aspects and she's got that worked out.
Speaking of that, Bill, how much money did you donate to charity this time? You don't need to show an horn. I'm just going to tell him.
A few dollars.
So Garage Heroes and Training, aka Bill and Vicki Fisher and company, won the $500 gift certificate for kind of the the heroic fix type of award.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Bond award or whatever it's called.
I think that
why
they
did
were
you keep
quite
doing
impressed.
this?
Yeah, I think they were quite impressed with the fact that a car actually came to the track so they could pull parts off of it.
They came to you.
It came to you.
Pretty cool award. Your trophy looked awesome. But I was super impressed to read that you donated it all back to the charity, and then Kathy matched it, right?
Yeah, and Dave and I matched it as well. So.
Oh.
So yeah.
Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah.
It's charity. I mean, we get to do this for fun, and if we can help the locale of the track, they probably, we always look at it like we're trying to raise the tide for racing, and we want to be a good citizen and a good give back and try to help the community. And then they won't close the track when they want to build a new housing development. So it's they let us do this. We had a great time, and we weren't planning on taking any money home because we sucked. And
We're
just give it.
learning.
Just give
in
it
training.
You have to represent the audience. We're new.
And that all went to the Kershaw Marching Band as well as the food bank.
Yes,
I believe, right?
That's awesome.
And it's cool stuff. There's if you go in town and you talk to people, they all know the racetrack's there, and they all know that we're just we're a bunch of outsiders coming into their community, and we're not even really buying much of what they have, and to come into their community and make that difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
I know, Pat, you and I were both in the marching band in high school.
A couple $100 is huge in an organization like that. You might have just bought T-shirts for the whole group or whatever, right? That's a big deal. It's pretty cool.
I think Kathy said that altogether the entire race brought in like $3,000 or $4,000 to the two charities. So
awesome.
We're not the only people, and as you guys would be more than willing to attest to, the racing community is really some of the best people we've ever met.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hands down.
And a lot of people donated gifts for her raffle too, and she had a whole table full of really awesome gifts. And so I bought some raffle tickets, and it was actually fun because it's $1 per ticket, so you get this giant. $100 is 100 tickets. You think about it, right? So got all these tickets, and I gave them all to my 7-year-old, and he really enjoyed tearing those tickets off and put them all in the box for the Legos.
Oh yeah.
And he won. He won the Legos Corvette.
Wow.
And he was so excited to win that. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
So did your kids have a nice time?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Were they
sleep for like a day afterwards?
Yeah. They slept the whole drive home. And it was cool, like what I thought was the coolest thing is like these kids, they've never driven a race car, right? Like they don't have the same experience as we do with this racing thing, but they do. And that was what was crazy is we stayed at a hotel, and in the morning, they like woke up. They just got out of bed and put their clothes on and were like ready to go. And they're like, "Daddy, we're ready to go." I'm like, "Okay, me too." and we just rolled out and went down and got breakfast, and they were complaining that how long the car ride was from the hotel to the track. They're like, "When are we going to get there?" And it was like that. We left the track a couple times, and it was the same thing. It was like, I just want to get back to the track. They just wanted to be there, and they knew there was excitement going on, and they were so excited when they got to the track each time. And of course, it was the same thing. We got in the truck, and we hit the road, and they just crashed. They are out the whole drive home. And the next day, they had the same race depression that we all do. And I told my wife, I prepped her. I said, they're going to be grumpy tomorrow. They're not going to be happy. And sure enough, they were kind of miserable. They used up
all their happy energy on that
weekend. Yeah, it was cool. But, I got to spend some good time with them, and it was awesome.
And they're going to remember this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's like locked in hard, like those kind of memories.
I mean, as common as, when you do this every year for a few years and you do it multiple times a year, you start to think of it as like normal. But, most of the people who don't do this view this as, the weirdest, wildest thing they could ever imagine. Like there's no way real humans do. And
well,
it's crazy.
The Race Bar ethos is printed on the back of our shirts, and it's do good, be humble, live life, race cars. And I tell my kids about it. I know Patrick tells his kids about it. And we have these little lessons where we sit down and we talk to them. And I did the same thing at the racetrack. We bought those tickets, and I said, "Peter, what's the back of the Race Bar shirt say?" And he said, "It says do good." And I said, "That's right." I said, "What are we doing right now?" 'Cause I told him about the tickets, and I said, there's less fortunate people than us that are trying to eat. They don't have food. And I said, we're helping them with this. And I don't know if he totally understood it, but I like to think I'm kind of planting the seeds in his brain. And what you guys said with what is it? Do something
things
that
a 5-year-old would be proud of.
Do things a 5-year-old would be proud of. How powerful is that?
Cool stuff.
But yeah, so they get to see that in action, and I tell them, I said, what are we doing right now? We're living life, like we're out here doing stuff, right? And we're humble. We're trying not to, the being humble is hard. The kids don't understand that word, but I try to relate it to very easy analogies. You don't. I tell Peter, I was like, if you want to run faster than somebody else, what do you do at the end of that race? If you beat them at the race, what do you do? And I'm like, do you tell them how slow they are, or do you give them a high five and say, hey, that was a good race?
Exactly.
So
we have a lot to learn from those 5-year-olds, right? I mean, there's a lot of adults out there that don't exactly quite grasp that concept yet in their lives,
I'm right here, man. That's not cool. All right. Any teams or cars that stood out? I mean, we didn't see any cars besides the one that stayed in the garage area because they were out on the track having fun. But what about you, Mr. Dandy? Did you see any?
There's a lot of teams that are great. We shared our paddock with the race winner.
Oh, that's true. We did.
I forget what those guys, what their team is. It's a Miata. They were awesome to share the paddock with. I didn't see a single moment this race not a single one of anyone being frustrated or like a conflict that wasn't resolved in a timely manner. There were some unfortunate things. I think the team, you know, the supercharger, is that the Escorting Corona's car?
Yes,
Mercedes.
the Mercedes. Yeah.
Oh, the
I'm not sure if
car
it
was there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was them. I saw them at the end talking to Kathy, and I think what happened, there was an issue where the Parc Ferme on Sunday, the pace car was out, and the pace car came in, and they passed. What was the deal? Oh, when the Parc Ferme was starting, they passed the pace car, and they just did a lap on their own. And if something to do with the order was wrong, and I think they had a solid argument, but Kathy and her team had to make a decision, and they kind of made a decision, and it was a conflict regardless, and I saw them resolving it, and it was resolved peacefully. You know, like Kathy's like, I'm sorry, we had to make a decision, and we did, and she's like, I understand why you're upset, and that's what I love about her so much is she's like, I get it, I understand what you're saying, and you know, I don't think there was any hard feelings there, but that's an awesome team, and there's an issue. There's a lot of discussion about the way Lucky Dog manages speed creep. That every series does it differently. Champ Car does it a certain way. They do it with a rule book that's really thick with a complicated point system. Lemons does it by kind of simply making fun of you if you're fast, or Lemons has a really easy way of doing it. Lucky Dog, they try to kind of split the middle, and they have the Super Dog class. And this race, they set a Super Dog time at CMP of 150. And there were some teams upset because I guess last year I think it was 149 or 148. And what that means is if you turn a single lap faster than 150, you get moved up to Super Dog class. It doesn't mean you're not racing. You can race in the Super Dog class. It just means you're not eligible for any awards. And there's two sides of the argument. One side is, well, guess what? You know, if you're in a Super Dog, you're just in a different league. You're like you're at the wrong race. The same way that race bar wouldn't fit in like WRL,
no,
or we just wouldn't. We're not competitive there. So you're not competitive in this class because you're too fast.
Right.
And I love the concept, but I think we all have to understand that causes a lot of frustration from those teams as an individual basis, because you're looking at it like, my car doesn't fit in here. I don't belong here. And I think there was some frustration. There were maybe 5 or 6 cars in this race that weren't running a race. They were slowing down, and they were all turning exactly 150 lap times. So they wouldn't be bumped in a Super Dog. So they were kind of bumped out of the race.
They were basically bracket racing, really.
Yeah.
And my solution to this is to just put a giant lobster on top of the car that gets bigger and bigger the faster you go, and it creates drag that slows the car down to the point where you're now at like a 148, and then like the race bar is passing you because you have a giant lobster on the top of your car.
Grid Life does it by having what they call reward weight. Every race you win, you get 50 pounds of reward weight that you get to put on your car for every race.
That's awesome.
You know, I mean, I'm still pushing the champions class. You know, once you've won overall, you're in the champions class, and you know, it's just like the Super Dog thing, but nobody seems to like it. But I'm gonna keep saying it.
Tow like a little trailer around, like you have to tow a trailer, like it gets bigger and bigger, and
could be
more drag.
That might improve some of the drag on some of the cars, though.
Exactly, that's true.
You know, I talk about this with people, and you know, they ask questions. They're like, you know, this qualifying thing, why wouldn't you just run slower so you can qualify in a lower class? And I explain it to it this way. I say it's like sailboat racing. If anybody who's ever raced sailboats knows, you could start a motor and nobody would know. You know, if there's light winds and you're out there, and you could just start your motor and, you know, give a little throttle, right, and just get a little edge on somebody, and nobody would know. But nobody ever does that. That is like sacrilegious. And you got to kind of like, that's kind of deep to like think about, like, why wouldn't you do that? Well, because you're not it's kind of internal thing. This whole racing thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's so at the end of the day, it's the same thing. There's no points for winning. It's
You're just cheating yourself, really. I mean,
yeah.
everybody, from what I can tell, everybody tries their hardest, does the best they can, but also wants everybody else to do the best they can and help them as much as they can because it's just fun to be out there with everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap it up with our traditional good, bad, the ugly, and what did we learn from this race? Good, bad, ugly, and what did we learn?
I learned that I should go to the race because I didn't even go to it at all.
I know that would be a step. I think you would have more fun at the race than not at the race.
Which our next race is Hyperfest.
Is it?
We're just gonna go to Hyperfest. Have you guys been there?
We have not gotten to one of those yet.
You would enjoy it.
We would. I know that.
We're invited to our Hyperfest. We're doing a whole charity thing for Ant-Man, flying him out from California, and we're gonna blow the lid off that thing with Ant-Man at Hyperfest. It's gonna be awesome.
So let's share what venue, what time, when are we doing this?
DIR. What's the date, Andy?
Hyperfest, I believe, is in May.
Calculating.
That's the 5th month of the year.
Of this year.
May 13th to the 15th.
Yep.
13th through 15th.
Yeah, so Hyperfest is a good event if you want to get on the track. You can do it through NASA.
Is this NASA Mid-Atlantic?
Yeah, you do it through
HPDEs.
Yep.
Or if if you don't want to race or you can't get into that, or you're brand new, you could always do they have their single session HPDEs. It's like $50 or something. They're called hyperdrives.
Mm-hmm.
Great experience. I've taken a minivan out twice on that track. So bring what you drove and go out there and have some fun. And if you just want to camp, bring your kids. This is what we're doing. We'd like to see race car get on the track just so the kids can see it on the track. But we're just going to bring the car and we're going to camp and we're going to, the highlight is really Saturday night. So if you want to come to Hyperfest for anything, try to get there at least like Saturday afternoon. And the downhill Power Wheel race is awesome. Oh my God. It just gets better every year. This last year, they had put out thousands of water balloons for the spectators. And you're supposed to throw the water balloons at these Power Wheel racers going down the hill, adults with helmets and Power Wheels. And our kids, Richard had his kids and my kids were there. Yeah. She turned and started throwing the water balloons at other spectators. Yeah. And then they started throwing them back, and there were like hundreds of people just in this massive water balloon fight. And we're like in the middle now.
That's
and they're
great.
like soaring over our heads. And we're out there in our race car shirts, and we're camping right in the kind of central area there. And race bar is there, like people are standing on top of race bar, and just this awesome experience. And then after that, you can immediately walk down to the burnout competition that night, and it's like dragons in the smoke. There's just roaring engines or smoke billowing out, and there's people who bring cars just to blow the tires up. And it's thousands of people standing around this circle with this burnout competition, and they're all
It's like
cheering.
in Rome or something where they have like the lions fighting with the Christians down there, and they're like fighting to the death. It's like that same kind of like almost frightening like crowd mentality. But
blow it up.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, exactly. And it's like cars doing huge burnouts until they their
And then-
motors explode.
And then they have DJs there playing EDM music and stuff. And the drift, and then the inside track, the Patriot course, is a drift event going on. And they've got these professional drifters out there. And the tire smoke is just everywhere with the lights going, and so much energy in the air. And
That's
there's
pretty cool.
every type of crowd is there, and Saturday night is really awesome at Hyperfest.
I took on one of the days. I took my daughter and your son Peter in a helicopter ride, and we went all around VIR. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. We drove down there and we just walked up to them. We're like, "Hey, can we do a helicopter ride?" And they're like, "Sure, go get in the helicopter." It was just sitting there running, and you're like,
wow.
"Okay." And you walk the kids out there, and you got in the helicopter, and as soon as your seatbelts are on, you guys just took off.
Shoom, we were gone.
You were gone, and you went around the track.
Was there a pilot in the helicopter, or?
No, they just give you the helicopter. You just hop in.
This sounds like fun. So if you want to take a helicopter and fly around in the Virginia area, just go to Hyperfest.
They have it's a car show as well, and then they have the rally racing out there. They got a rally track. There's off-roading. There's every type of automotive stuff going on, and you can't see it all in one weekend. We still haven't seen it all. We've tried, but we haven't been able to.
And
but if you come, there might be hibachi.
Hibachi.
Well, Vicki and I are going a different direction that weekend, but I've already checked our schedule. We can't get there, but everybody else should go.
All right.
That sounds like fun.
Come on out.
Yeah, you don't need to be a race car driver to go to Hyperfest.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, we started this podcast to try and help people get better at driving and racing and hopefully start our sport. And we said that, anybody can do it. And, we won a race last year and you guys won a race this year. I think those are two data points that support our conjecture. Really, anybody can do this. And the thing that most people don't understand is it's really fun even when you don't win. I mean, the winning is just,
Yeah.
There's a lot of luck involved with winning, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and pain. But, it's still fun. So, congratulations, Race Bar. You are in the victory circle this week.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Race Bar!
Race Bar!
Okay. All right. Sorry, listeners, for your eardrums. We apologize. I'll try and tone them down. But, it is Race Bar. They can't be controlled.
Richard just looked around to see if his wife heard that.
Probably. Wow, she's got the that big bat. What's that for?
She knew what she signed up to. So
There you go. Well, guys, it was great seeing you guys again at the track. Hopefully, schedules will allow us to coincide. We'd love to see you guys at the track and have a good time, and want to see you out there again as much as we can.
That's right.
All right.
All right. You guys have a great night. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Vicki.
Thanks.
We'll see you
Bye.
guys later. Thank you.
Okay, very well.
So are we Jandy and Fairlane here?
Jandy and
Freelane.
Richard Freelane. Yeah, it doesn't matter what his volume's set at if he's going to do those. Anyway. All right. We've got a chance at having a race bar that's somewhat under control. We'll see how that goes. Never had one of those before. But anyway, how many times have you guys been on? Isn't this like 4?
Like 5 to 8.
5?
Maybe somewhere in that range.
Yeah, well, now it depends on what you classify. How many times have we been on? Because Ben Dawson, we own him. He's
that's
on
true.
our team.
That's true.
Yeah, we actually own all of his assets as well.
Oh, do you? Intellectual property taken care of there?
Yeah, especially his pickup truck. It's our favorite asset that we've never actually touched.
I've got
at the racetracks.
Well, while we're on the Ben Dawson topic, why did you guys try to kill him that one weekend?
Ooh, I haven't heard about this.
Oh, I never tried to kill Ben Dawson that I know of.
Well, I believe it was the lobster car. There was some issue.
That car's tried to kill a lot of different people.
It's a death trap.
Oh, so he's
Oh,
not
wait, hold
special
on.
for that? That's just one of the group.
I think I can get in. Hold on. I think I'm. If I show up on a different medium here,
That's okay. Anything that
then
makes it so we're not looking straight up your nose is great.
Let's see. I'm also. I also take this moment to mention that Kyle Lockrow.
Yes, you own him too.
Laura Vernon.
Yeah.
They're also race bar, even though Laura didn't wear a race bar shirt the last race.
Still bothers us, but
it's okay. She almost ran off the track after I made her pass us in the kink. And
kink.
In the wet.
She's got to protect her seat in that vehicle. So
yeah, she's awesome.
She is.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Once you start racing, you'll start to know that the more information your driver can have, the better. One of the things that we found is that the Sentinel system allows you to be able to not only get your driver the information that they need, but also be able to share the information with the pit and anybody who's got internet availability. You can integrate your AIM data. You can integrate the driver tag, as in who is the driver in the car. You can also integrate in your standings and who is ahead or behind of you into the dash, as well as be able to see flag statuses in case there's a yellow flag or a red flag or a black flag. Hopefully none of those, but they do happen. This was developed by a fellow racer, former guest, James Candelaria, and he is seeing a lot of people using it in the SCCA, WRL, AER, and we are doing demos at our paddocks whenever we are at the track. It could be at a race or it could be at an HPD. If you're interested and want to come in and see how it is, we can give you a demo. And if you find that it's something that would be helpful to your racing, please use our discount code, which will save you 10% on anything that you buy. And it is creatively GHIT, GHIT, for Garage Heroes and Training. So hopefully you will find that the Sentinel system is as useful for your racing as we have found it for ours.